In the shadows of Cold War London, where double agents traded secrets and every telephone felt bugged, a darker rumor whispered through the underground. It wasn't just spies and surveillance, it was mind control. While America's CIA ran Project MKUltra in plain sight of classified files, some believe Britain had its own version, hidden behind the polished doors of top universities and psychiatric hospitals. Maudsley. Imperial. Names respected in science, possibly hijacked for secrecy. The theory? That MI5 and MI6 experimented on unwitting citizens, using LSD, isolation, and psychological manipulation to probe the limits of human consciousness, and maybe to build the perfect agent. There's no official admission. But declassified scraps, whistleblowers, and disturbing patient testimonies suggest something happened, and that some truths were meant to stay buried. So buckle in. Because today, we're diving into one of the UK's most chilling conspiracy theories. The MI5/MI6 mind control experiments. Cold War paranoia and the British response. The Cold War wasn't just fought with bombs and spies, it was a psychological battlefield. By the 1950s, rumors were swirling in intelligence circles that the Soviets were experimenting with mind control techniques, from hypnotic programming to chemical interrogation. The CIA responded with Project MKUltra, a covert operation that tested LSD and psychological torture in an attempt to crack the human mind. But here's where things get murky: was Britain doing the same, just quieter? Some researchers believe that MI5 and MI6, driven by similar fears, quietly launched their own programs in London, under layers of secrecy and deniability. The idea? If the Soviets could turn a man's brain into a weapon, then the UK needed to get there first, or risk being manipulated from within. Intelligence wasn't just about stealing state secrets anymore. It was about cracking consciousness itself. In this climate of suspicion and silent warfare, the line between national security and human experimentation began to blur. London, a hub of Cold War intrigue, became a rumored hotspot for covert psychological experiments. Behind closed doors, with classified funding and plausible deniability, was the British state trying to build its own version of the perfect agent, one whose mind could be shaped, erased, or controlled. While there's no official admission, the historical context makes the theory chillingly plausible. When the world's superpowers feared infiltration not just of governments, but of the mind, how far would they go to defend themselves? Or worse, to strike first? Alleged testing grounds, universities and hospitals. If you wanted to conduct secret mind control experiments without drawing attention, where would you go? Somewhere with access to vulnerable minds, plausible deniability, and plenty of scientific cover. That's where London's top hospitals and universities come in. Rumors persist that institutions like Maudsley Hospital, a renowned psychiatric centre, and Imperial College London, one of the UK's leading research universities, may have been silent partners, or unwitting hosts, in covert psychological experiments during the Cold War. These weren't your average clinical trials. We're talking about LSD dosing without consent, sleep deprivation, electroshock therapy, and sensory isolation, all allegedly conducted under the guise of mental health research or behavioral science. Some former patients of the era have since come forward with chilling recollections, sudden memory loss, unexplained hallucinations, or treatment protocols that veered into the bizarre. Were they test subjects in a larger game? And if so, who was pulling the strings? Researchers at these institutions may have believed they were contributing to science, unaware of how their data was being used, or who was funding it. Others, it's speculated, knew exactly what they were doing, operating under classified agreements with British intelligence. Think about it, elite institutions full of bright minds, government grants, and desperate patients. A perfect storm for experiments that pushed ethical boundaries, and possibly broke them. The institutions themselves have largely stayed silent, and official investigations remain few and far between. Could it be that beneath the polished corridors of London's scientific elite, experiments were underway to probe, fragment, and even reprogram the human mind? If so, How many lives were altered in the name of national security, and how many stories have yet to surface? If you like this video, please give us a like, leave a comment behind, and don't forget to subscribe, since we have a new video every day. Now let's continue with the video. Files, whistleblowers, and what we know. For a theory like this, you'd expect a wall of silence, and that's exactly what we've got. But every so often, something slips through the cracks. A heavily redacted file. A retired agent's cryptic memoir. A footnote in a dusty archive that doesn't quite add up. These fragments have become the breadcrumbs for researchers chasing the truth behind the alleged MI5/MI6 mind control experiments. Some declassified documents from the 1970s and 80s confirm that the British government funded psychological research with military applications. These weren't necessarily labeled mind control, but they touched on behavior modification, interrogation resistance, and drug testing. One file revealed that UK agencies were interested in LSD's potential for both warfare and interrogation, closely tracking what the CIA was doing with MKUltra. Another mentioned secret collaborations with certain academic institutions, names redacted. Then there are the whistleblowers. A few former intelligence personnel and researchers have come forward over the years, hinting that classified programs existed under vague titles, often buried in innocuous research grants. Some claim experiments were outsourced to keep things off the books, run through intermediaries in hospitals or psychiatric clinics. One former Maudsley doctor, in an anonymous interview, described a period in the 1960s when volunteers were treated with experimental substances under observation by outside parties. Still, the most damning evidence remains tantalizingly out of reach, either destroyed, deeply classified, or never officially documented at all. And that's the genius of covert experimentation. Plausible deniability. The lack of hard proof is often taken as a sign of a theory's weakness, but in cases like this, it might just mean the cover-up worked. So what do we really know? Not enough to declare a smoking gun. But just enough to keep the questions alive. Why are certain documents still sealed? Why do so many witnesses describe similar patterns of experimentation across unrelated institutions? And why, decades later, is the British government still so reluctant to talk? In the fog of Cold War secrecy, sometimes what's missing tells you more than what's been revealed. In the end, the truth about Britain's alleged mind control experiments remains shrouded in secrecy, hidden behind redacted files, institutional silence, and the fog of Cold War paranoia. But the breadcrumbs are there, unexplained experiments, missing records, and whispers from those who claim to have seen too much. Maybe MI5 and MI6 were simply keeping pace with their American allies, racing to weaponize the human mind before anyone else could. Or maybe the truth is even darker, that ordinary people were caught in the crossfire of an invisible war, their minds treated like tools in a geopolitical arms race. Whether fact, cover-up, or some mixture of both, one thing is certain: when national security becomes the excuse, the limits of morality can stretch frighteningly far. And the scariest part? If these programs existed, how much do we still